Um, as you've rightly said, you were a music editor and you were involved in the booking of guests and whatnot. And you got some astonishing guests on there, guests which you kind of think, what are they doing on this show, which was ostensibly a children's show, but
Yeah.
it's reached beyond that. I'm wondering if any of the guests were a little bit taken aback at what was going on, or even took umbrage at anything. And also, who did you find was your most troublesome guest?
Oh gosh. Well, we had people did used to ask to come on. I mean, we were sitting in the office one day, and we had this lovely assistant called Gail, and she was opening the post, and she said, "Oh, there's a letter here from Spike Milligan," and he said, "Oh, I think you're all mad. Can I come on the show?" And we went, "Don't be daft. That'll be a scam or a spook or something." Yeah. And it wasn't. And he turned up, and he came on, and he was incredible. I mean, I love Spike anyway. He was fantastic. And Michael Palin, I don't know whether we asked Michael Palin or whether he wanted to come on as well, and he did loads of stuff with us. I mean, he was he is such a lovely man. I mean, all his stuff on TV now is fantastic. Yeah. And so people did used to ask us, and Chris and I were sitting in the Holiday Inn one evening. I think it was the Friday night actually, just going through the finer points of what we were doing the next day, and suddenly we got this tap on the shoulder, and this person said, "Oh, I'm sorry to disturb you. You look very busy, but I'm Robert Plant." And we both went, "Yeah, we kind of know who you are." And he said, "Is there any chance I can come on the show tomorrow?" So we went, of course, and hastily rewrote something. And I think we stuck him in compost corner. Yeah. And he stood in a bucket with the flour around his head, and we poured a load of muck all over him. They were the kind of things that happened. You know, we didn't have to really court people. They wanted to come on. And you asked me about the most troublesome. I mean, this has been well documented as well. I mean, I do love Madness, and they're great now, and they're still going strong. And my God, take my hat off to them. They're fantastically talented. But they did go a bit wild during one of my legendary pop interviews, where because it was so mad in there, people kind of thought that they had to subscribe to it, and they got hold of some spray string. I don't even know if you can still buy it. Yeah. And I was talking to them, and they got this spray string, and they literally sprayed it at me, and it went straight down my throat, and I was choking. So that wasn't necessarily a good look. So that was a bit troublesome. So when we had them on again, we had them literally outside in the car park, and the questions were asked from me to somebody else who actually happened to be my stepson, who was about 8 at the time. And I would say the question to Daryl, and then he would say the question to them in the car park. They'd reply to Daryl, and he would reply back to me. So we kind of made a laugh out of anything that went wrong. We sort of turned into a bit of a joke. So they were a bit troublesome from that point of view. And you know, we had things like we blew up Bernard Manning, which was very unfortunate because he just suffered from a heart problem, and he was supposed to go on the scales, and the scales, oh gag really, say, "Oh, overload, we can't give you a weight or something," and then they were supposed to explode. Well, we had the people that worked in the props department loved all this stuff, you know, drop boxes, explosions, they went mad for everything. And so this explosion literally sent Bernard across the floor. And Chris had already been saying to Bernard beforehand, "Look, we're live, there's kids, watch your language," because obviously, as you know, Bernard Manning was quite known for his colourful language. And we're going, "Oh my goodness," he's, you know, well, first of all, Chris thought, "Oh my God, have we killed him?" Fortunately, we hadn't. And he did, I think we managed to, I think the sound man was very, very quick and just literally blanked his sound out. So there were worries like that, obviously, of being live, but all these comics, they were all so great. I mean, Bob Monkhouse, you know, all these people that came on, they were so professional, so funny, so great. I mean, we were so privileged to have all of these wonderful people to work with. And Frank Carson, I mean, Frank, oh, everyone adored Frank. I mean, and he never, ever stopped talking, a bit like me this morning. He never stopped. He'd come into a room and he'd start telling you a joke or a story, really. Frank was big on stories. And, you know, he would go on a bit. And one by one, people might leave the room, but he'd still be telling the story when you'd gone. He was fantastic. And he'd turn up even when he wasn't booked, you know, and it was him, of course, that found Bob Carolgees. Yeah. So we were privileged to have all these wonderful people to work with.